So I've been trying to figure out how to get this V8 into the RX-7, but just like life, there is no instruction manual.
Then what's this, Sally?
That's cereal.
I disagree. It tastes like an instruction manual to me, and I've eaten plenty of them, so I should know.
You eat instruction manuals?
Yes, and right now, this one is telling me I'm gonna grow up to be an astronaut.
Aren't you kind of grown up already?
Well, you know what old Pappy used to say? You're only as old as the tweens tell you you are. Now stop throwing eggs in my house, you hood rats.
Okay, but how does that help?
Because I also happen to have this instruction manual.
And it shows you how to put a V8 in an RX-7?
Section 10, how to install a V8 in your RX-7.
Let me see that. This is just a picture of you as an astronaut.
Told you.
So on our channel, we have the wall of failure here because whenever we fail at something, we drink a pickle beer. And today we are starting out with a pickle beer because as it turns out, I really have no idea what I'm doing trying to put a V8 into this RX-7. So we're just gonna, all over me. Well, we're gonna, I smell like pickle now. It's not even open, it's just foam. Look at that, it just broke off. Oh, it tastes bad and it's sharp now. So a little while ago I made an episode about everything we needed to put a V8 in the RX-7 was in the trunk of this car. Turns out that was completely wrong. So I failed to do the proper research to figure out what it was gonna take to put that engine in this car. So, cheers. Still sharp. So one example of that is this right here. So this is, well, this is a gasket. But underneath the gasket, somewhere in here, there is a new oil pan. And that is because the LS3 engine we're gonna put in this RX-7 does not fit over this right here. So in the last RX-7 episode, Alan and Mr. Nobody, they helped me take the engine out of the RX-7. And since then, I've been coming in here and just kind of piddling around. I've been taking off various brackets and removing various hoses and everything that I know needs to go in order to put the engine in here. And then I started looking up what you need to actually put the engine in here. It turns out it's way more than I thought. So we're gonna start today with this box right here. And so this is the engine and transmission mount kit that I bought many years ago. So in here should be everything we need to put the LS engine in the RX-7 and also to put the transmission I don't have into the RX-7 because I have the wrong one. In fact, this looks like a transmission mount. But that's not really gonna be a problem. I knew that wasn't gonna fit, so we'll just kind of make it work whenever it's time. But first, I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go grab the engine and transmission out of the other garage. We're gonna bring it in here. Actually, I haven't even taken that engine out of the shrink wrap ever since I ordered it, so it's been sitting in shrink wrap for like 3 years. We're gonna start taking stuff apart because there's other things I don't know, like, is that engine drive-by-wire or does it need a throttle cable? I don't know. I was told it came with the computer. I hope it came with the computer. We'll find out in a second. So let's go get to see what we're dealing with to begin with. right, we are mid oil pan change right now. We got the old oil pan off. You can see the bottom of the engine. And so I've been taking things off, simplifying. The wiring harness is gone. All the accessories except for the water pump are gone. Oil pan is obviously gone. But I've been finding some stuff out about this engine. So number one, if you look at all this right here, that's all like sooty and gross and dirty. And so whenever I took the headers off, some of those bolts were only finger tight. So I think whoever put the headers on didn't tighten them enough, or maybe over time they loosened and they became undone. And so like all the spark plug connections here, they're all like super gross and sooty. Here's the header gaskets right here. You can see they've been blowing out for a while there. So that all needs to be replaced. The spark plugs themselves, they look just like kind of super used. Someone did try. So on the ends of all these spark plugs are dielectric grease. And if you know anything about changing spark plugs, you are supposed to use dielectric grease when you change your spark plugs. The thing is though, it goes on like the white part of the spark plug and the spark plug boot, not on the top, because even though it has the word electric in it, dielectric grease is an insulator. So by putting that on the end of this, they were making the spark plugs not work as well or at all. I mean, who knows? The oil though, they were doing a good job on that. They've got a Mobil 1 oil filter on here, and the oil itself is a nice kind of amber color. It's not all dark and gross, so they were changing their oil. That's good. If you look under here, I mean, just kind of taking a peek at all this stuff, nothing looks bad. There's no metal shavings or anything in the oil or anything like that. And so my plan is right now, we need to get the new oil pan on here. It's gonna give us a lot more clearance up in this area right here, and that's where that front cross member of the RX-7 is gonna go. Oh, but if anybody knows what this is, I have no idea what this thing is right here. And there's not a spot for one on the new oil pan. So I don't know if that's a problem or not, but if anybody knows, let me know before I turn this thing on for the first time. But I'm going to go ahead and get the oil pan back on here, and then we will test fit the engine. I think there's enough room to maybe keep the accessories down here. I just wanted to take them off so I could get it in there pretty easy, because it's gonna be just me. You can get brackets and stuff to relocate your accessories like the alternator and the AC pump up top. That would make servicing them easier. We might do that anyways. I don't know. We'll get it in there. We'll see how it looks. And the transmission, I think we're gonna have to take the interior of the RX-7 apart to do that. I didn't realize it, but you got this bracket right here, right? And it looks like it just kind of bolts up into the tunnel. It does not. So what you gotta do is you gotta cut these things out right here, and it goes somewhere right around there, I guess. But the other side of these holes, it gets sandwiched in between the sheet metal of the RX-7. So you gotta take the carpet out, put some plates in there, throw some bolts through the floor of the RX-7, and that's what holds this up in there. So, a little bit of work to do, and we'll try and get this thing in there. And yes, I know it would be way easier to take the transmission off, throw the engine on an engine stand, and then flip it over and replace the oil pan. The thing is, I don't have an engine stand, and I think I've decided I'm gonna replace the clutch anyway, so this engine transmission has about 80,000 miles on it. So I wanna go ahead and replace the clutch so I don't do it in 20,000 miles or whenever it goes out, because I think these bolts right here, this engine's supposed to go super close to the firewall. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to those. Once it's in there, it'd be like take the engine out to replace the clutch sort of situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace the clutch, but I don't have one today, so I don't wanna take the transmission off, put it back on to get the engine in the car, just to replace the oil pan, and then later get a clutch and then take it off again and then put it back on. And so we're just gonna wait on that, do the oil pan upside down, but we'll get it done. Take a close look at where I just cut. You can see light through that hole right there. And that's because, well, that's because I cut through the floor of the car accidentally. But luckily, or unluckily, found this at the grocery store the other day. We have a failure variety pack here. We've got orange, blackberry, lemonade, and strawberry. So because I failed to exercise caution while plasma cutting, we are going to drink an orange pickle beer failure. Oh look, it's even orange. It smells like orange. Oh my gosh, it kind of tastes like, what are those drinks? Like a Sunkist orange soda with a little bit of pickle. Like actually the orange, you can taste more of the orange than you can the pickle. It's weird. Oh, It's still terrible, but this one is actually one of the best pickle beers I think I've ever failed with. But anyway, let's go put an engine in a car. It's in, technically, anyway. So the motor mounts are all in and bolted up. Those went right into spot, all the bolt holes lined up. That was all real good. Getting this in here, I did disconnect the sway bar. The engine mount kit comes with sway bar spacers. So I just disconnected it for now. I'll hook it back up later. Actually, I'm gonna drop the whole subframe here in a minute, which means you have to take the engine out again, but we'll talk about that later. So one thing right away that I wanted to check was the shifter placement. I knew that could be off because this, again, isn't really the right transmission. And it is. So the shifter is supposed to link up like right there where that piece of metal is. So we're gonna have to move it back, I don't know, like 3 or 4 inches. So look at how close this thing is in here. Like, I know people say this kit comes really close, so you try and keep the center of gravity back in the car, but this is like, I can't even stick my finger in there. That's like super close. These are the heater hose outlet things. And I've read of people being able to reuse these, but there's no way once you put the intake manifold on here, you're gonna be able to get a hose out of there. So I think those are gonna have to be relocated. Down here where the accessories go, so the alternator, I think we're gonna be able to get that back on, no problem. The AC compressor, we might have to move that up to the top, but I'll give that a shot here in a minute too. And then I've read people have to redo their brake lines and stuff, but this, like, it fits like perfectly in there. Like, I don't think any of this has to move or be redone. The transmission mount is where we have some work to do though. So this goes underneath the car just like that. This bolts to either side of the transmission tunnel. This isolator thing here is supposed to bolt right into that. And then theoretically the transmission, if you have the T56, it just goes right into those holes. But we do not have the T56, we have the TR6060, and those bolt holes do not line up at all. So my plan is, so this guy right here is the existing TR6060 transmission mount. I need to figure out what height the transmission needs to be. And then I think what I'm gonna do is, this is a metal plate that goes down and all the way around. I think I'm gonna cut this rubber off of it and then maybe cut the bottom portion of this mount off depending on how high it needs to be, and then either bolt or weld this plate onto that so that we can just bolt right into our transmission mount. But I need to figure out all the heights and tolerances and stuff, so that's gonna be a minute for me, but for y'all it's gonna be, gosh, I tripped right now. And there you have a V8 in an RX-7 supported by its own mounts, I guess. Yeah, so this is what we wound up with. So you got this cross member here. I'll show you the inside in a second, but it gets sandwiched in between some plates. I had to make or modify the existing bracket to mount up to the isolator, which mounts up to our bracket. So we're all good there. Everything has room to move, even once you put the bolts and stuff back in. And that's really what took the most time, was getting everything to line up. So putting the engine in the car myself, like actually just getting it in there, that only took like 30 minutes once it was on the hoist and ready to go. But getting all this stuff to line up, making the bracket stuff, that was like another 3 hours. It was crazy. So these are the plates inside. So goes through the floor, bracket is on the other side, this is on this side. Got a similar one over there. That one's a lot bigger for some reason. But yeah, just getting those holes to line up took a minute. But it's in there now. So yeah, I'm super happy with how that went in. So again, Ronin's Speedworks kit, if you're looking for a kit for your RX-7, but everything lined up nicely. If we had the right transmission, it would have got it way quicker, been way easier, but we got it in there as is. So I've got a ton more work to do now. Make sure, or find out what fits, what doesn't, like the headers, the AC compressor, all that stuff. I'll do that off camera. And next time we'll be doing, I think, like a pretty fun part of this. It'll be fun for me anyways. But until next time, we need to restock. Because if today has taught me anything, it means there's gonna be more pickle beer in the future, but no more today. See you later. Hello and welcome to YouTube. This is the point in time where we have to stop exactly everything we're doing at a precarious moment and try and get a thumbnail. It's probably fine. Yo. You gotta get the voice right. Yo. And now if that's done, let's see if we can get this thing in here.